Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Lakshmi and I'm an educator at Northern Lights Academy, Coimbatore. With schools being locked down due to COVID-19, educators across the country are moving to virtual classes. Nevertheless, switching over to the online mode of teaching is a huge challenge for teachers. They have managed to imbibe a number of hard and soft skills to be able to do it successfully to date. Today we are presenting Adapting to the New Normal to give an insight on the online classes. Now without further ado, we will turn the time over to the panelists. Our panelists today are Ms. Anushaditya, Director of Education at Little Zebra School, Coimbatore; Ms. Anuradha T. Corporate Director, Operations, Hyderabad, TIPS Group of Schools, India; Ms. Viola R. Krishnamani, Business Strategist, Director and Founder, Scholars ETSA Private Limited; Mr. Stanley, an academician, Education and Counselor, International Schools, CAIE from Coimbatore; Mr. Shaji Philip, an educator from China; Ms. Krishnaveni, an educator from Coimbatore. I welcome you all to our webinar for giving an insight on the challenges the teachers face during online sessions across the globe. Let's start with Mr. Stanley. What is the biggest challenge in the online sessions and how to overcome it?
Well, good morning, everyone. It's been a wonderful morning. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Mrs. Anusha Aditya, the founder and director of Northern Lights and Little Zebra. And my wishes to all the organizers and my beloved panelists. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Short and sweet, actually. I like to start from a quote, which it is well known for you, and I think you know about this quote very well. No lockdown for learning. No, I repeat again, no lockdown for learning. Because lockdown is for social distancing. I think lockdown is for the social distancing, not for distancing the learning process or knowledge gaining. So always learning is a long-term growth. I said learning is an ongoing process. And we are preparing the generation, we are preparing the future citizens who actually are lifelong learners. So we have to agree with this. And come to your question, what are the biggest challenges the online session, how to overcome it? Am I right? Am I right with the question?
Yes.
All right. The common challenges, what I observed as academician these days is technology. The first challenge, I just point out five challenges, what I observed is first challenge is this online session is completely relies heavily on technology. And you see, it is actually the technology has become a challenge for certain people, for certain teachers. Who we are preparing? We are preparing the 21st century learners. For that, we need 21st century skills. And the teachers need to also have the 21st century skills to prepare our children or students. So I think technology is not a challenge alone. Technology is also a solution. It's not only a challenge, it is also a solution. That's the only solution we have in our hand to support in these uncertain days. And it should be ongoing. As a technology is, what I say, how to overcome it. See, the teachers or the community, the school community need to be prepared and ready for it. So I would say the technology is not a challenge. The preparedness and readiness is a challenge. So the prepared and readiness actually to be done in the prayer hand, all the people, all the school community, the education forum the fraternity should have, pre-plan this thing, should have a contingency plan, how it's happening in abroad in certain countries. They already get to use, it's a custom, it's a custom there. And for us, it is actually, it's a bit of fact that certain education fraternity, it's not thinking about it's a custom. It's become it's not become a non-common among this custom between the education community. So I would say that technology is hand in hand, and it has given many important things, that softwares, the hand in hand softwares, and even internet availability and the stability and the speed of the internet is really good nowadays. So it's a challenge to overcome. So I said the first is the technology. I would say that the readiness and preparedness definitely overcome the technology. The challenges what they're facing with the technology. The second thing is uh, self-motivation. Here, the self-motivation, it's like a partnering. It should be not only a student, a teacher. Both will have a self-motivation. Whereas if you see the first day when we start up the online classes, here we ask students, you can see that, hi Arjun, present sir, everyone is there in the class. Sir, we are with you, don't worry, we are with you. The second day, if you say Arjun, yes sir, I'm here, I'm already there with you, yes, fine. Third day, if you say Arjun, how, sir, is there any alternate plan? Shall we have the class next day? Or something like that? No. If you have the fourth day, you say, where's Arjun? Sir, I have some technical issues. If it goes to the fifth day, Arjun is absconded. So the children used to say, so Arjun is having some important commitment. So what is happening? The self-motivation. The self-motivation is lacking over here. Actually, here the teacher need to play a very, very sincere role in this. The teacher need to be a facilitator. The teacher need to be a motivator in this case. Actually, I'm practically speaking what we are experiencing. Okay, so here they're called constructivist teaching approach. The teacher need to follow the constructive teaching approach rather than just passive receiving information or passive sending the information to the children. So what is a constructivist teaching approach is actually when putting the children in the learning activity and process of understanding the meaning and knowledge of knowledge construction. So we all know what is a constructivist approach, putting the children in the part of learning. So it should be a completely a student-centered learning and student-centered teaching approach. So by doing this, we can overcome the motivation. That means we can boost the self-motivation. We can empower the students. At the same time, the teacher must be the first person to be motivate themselves and motivate the students. They need to be a key, first of all, for this factor. Because I would say that not only the students, even the teacher, because these people actually experiencing, I told you, this is not a custom, okay? So not for all the teaching fraternity, it's not a custom. So very few schools, of course, they're following the online, they're following the online system. We call learning management system. We call learning management system. Of course, they follow. But most of the schools, most of the education institutions, it is not a custom. So you want to come to adapt a new thing. Actually, as you said, that when you adopt a new normal, okay, they're really not that normal. Actually, that means they're not ready to adapt a new technology. Actually, you see, the teaching is a art. Teaching is the art. Teaching is a performance. So it's more into expressions. Okay, so when you give a normal traditional teacher, okay, you come on, you go and teach in the classroom, and what he will do, you spend a lot of time with the children, open the mind of children, a lot of expressions will be there, so many things. So he will be a king and queen of the classroom. When shifting the learning environment, when shifting the learning environment from the classroom to the school to the home or school to the, of course, quite challenging, because there here comes a participation and also the concentration and of course a partnering with the students. So here the teacher need to think of just we have shifted the classroom to the home and we are not shifted the learning process. There's no shift in the learning process. I mean to say that. Okay. So constructivity's approach is highly important. The third point, what I want to say is effective ritual communication. The ritual communication is always a backup, you know. So for that only the school or education institution, even the government want to think about, you know, ritual learning design or ritual education design nowadays. Because if you see I take an example from a small country where I work from, Republic of Maldives. In Republic of Maldives, the Ministry of Education has come with the ritual education design, or they call it teleclass, teleclass. So they're using the national media. They're using the national media, and actually they're fixing the timetable for the entire schools there, and they're educating the children. This is how, and they are actually the children feeling like a school. They're feeling really like a school. Of course, they're at home, but they're more comfortable, they're more flexible in that. Okay, and also based on that, a discussion session is going on. The children can call over the phone, the classroom after the discussion, after the learning, after the class, they can have a discussion. So such a wonder thing is going on, and people need to make a note of it actually. And we need to unite this. We need, instead of thinking unique thinking, everyone working differently, we want to think about the whole nation. We want to think about the whole community, learning community, and government need to really work on that. And the educationalists need to suggest that the virtual communication support is highly needed. For that, actually, a lot of online portals are there, networks are there, and LMS. And I will tell you the wonderful network, Edmodo. Edmodo is a solution for distance learning and hybrid learning, Edmodo.
A lot of thoughts about how to overcome the online sessions and how to take it to the next level. And definitely, he has given insight on the virtual communications, and also he has given a new platform named Edmodo. Let's discuss about it in the further discussions. Now let's move on to Ms. Anuradha. How receptive are the parent community to the virtual learning sessions?
Good morning to the panelists, and welcome to all the parents, colleagues, and the web world which is watching us here. Well, for the parents, it has not been easy. We do take feedback from our parents, and then we interact in general. Our colleagues are also parents. It's not really been a very smooth transition. Everybody struggled, including the teaching community also has struggled. But given the time frame, given the weeks we have been under lockdown, the parents as well as the teaching community have reconciled that, as you said, this is the new normal, and we have to get ourselves around these conditions and move on with whatever that has been offered by the schools, by the teaching community. And most importantly, the parents have reconciled now to the fact that they have to support their children. Going forward, the kids are the one who need maximum support from the parents. So do the teaching community at the moment. It has become a triumvirate effort. The teaching and learning has become a triumvirate effort where the three corners are the strong pillars are the parents, the students, and the teaching community. So having said that, a lot of hand-holding has been done by the schools and is expected from the schools by the parents. And schools are devising means and methods to bring the parents onto the same platform as we are working upon, so that they understand what is the level at which the parents are starting. Do all the parents have the tech expertise to manage the online classes? I doubt that very much. So there have been cases when we had to connect with the parents offline, handhold them with the process of how to get onto the classes, how to support the children, how to create an environment at school, how to create a routine for the children, how can they be a support for the kids. Here the parents also have become learners, partners in the learning process for their children. So that having, and then it cannot be understood that every house, every family, every house have the means and methods to develop a small classroom at home or segregate a small classroom at home for their children. So how do they face such situations? There's a cross-section of parents, the diverse communities, and parents who are shy to come in front of the camera, parents who are shy to ask questions, parents who cannot afford the technology. There are a zillion combinations, and the schools are facing them in small pockets. They address the issues in small numbers. And what I find is communication, communication, communication. The key to the success of this system of online learning, the new normal, is communication, hand-holding, support, counseling. So for example, I've heard from a colleague, when they took the class attendance, over a period of time, they realized that there are a group of parents and children who have never come on to the online classes. So the school made an effort to call the parents and find out what is the problem, what is the issue. Then the parent very hesitantly, this is up north school, a very, medium range community type of school, then the school had to make an effort to call the parents on telephone, tell them that you don't need high-end tech gadgets to get onto this learning medium. You can use your ordinary phones, and they had to do a video call, go through the process with the parents, give them the confidence. It doesn't matter, you can get onto the class. So where they began is they shut off the video. See, I'm talking about more practical issues that the parents are facing here. So they switched off the video for the first few classes. So the parent has a confidence first with the audio, listen to the teacher, be able to ask questions, be able to support their children. Then came in the video classes. Such is the area, designating an area at home for their kids, not moving around, creating a schedule. So yes, parents have learned over the weeks and months, and they are definitely receptive to these classes. They do not have a choice. None of us in the world have a choice over this. This is the new normal, and we just go on and continue with this. So that is how the parents are coping up with the situation.
Very true, ma'am. I agree with you, because it has become a partnership. So
yes,
it is the child, the parent, and the teacher. When all these three align in the same line, I think we can deliver whatever we are planning to deliver to the child, and the parents
True.
are also receptive. I'm glad to hear it. And whatever methods you said, like contact the parent and then talk to them and find what difficulty they are facing. So
we communicate with the parents in pockets. We have assigned days and hours to have a one-to-one interaction with parents to solve their issues.
So parents, please make a note. Schools are open to hear your concerns, and we are ready to resolve your solutions. And thankfully, Little Zebra has already taken that step, and we are reaching the parents everyday basis, and we are finding solutions for it. And how do we encourage lateral thinking among students in the new normal? Ms. Anuradha?
Didn't get you. Can you repeat the question?
How do we encourage lateral thinking among students in the new normal?
Okay. So, like Mr. Anthony said, this is about participation, concentration, self-motivation. So when all of those angles come into the thought process, so does the lateral thinking also come into place. You have to encourage the children. So this is a given circumstances. We have to do our best, modulate the classes based on the learning group. There are, let's say there are schools with 40 children online in the class. There are schools with only 20 kids online in the class. Are they all at the same levels? Have you identified the kids who need a little more hand holding than the rest of the group? Identify the kids who are shy. Maybe they need a little more of the same class. You club all these kids together. Some kids, out of their excitement, they are very good at their work. Their knowledge content is very high compared to few groups. So I would suggest to the schools and the academicians, identify the groups, segregate the groups into same levels, so that you can probe their minds, understand what are the problems they are having with this learning platform, and encourage them to speak. So when they speak, when they share, when they interact, that is where their thinking process increases, and they know that this is here to stay in the long time to come. And that is where their thinking can broaden up and open to this online learning process here.
That's a thought to reflect on. Teachers and the schools, please make a note of it. We are going to approach the children in groups, and based on their needs, we can deliver the content. Thank you, Ms. Anuradha, for sharing your thoughts. And now I move on to Ms. Anusha Aditya. With online classes running seamlessly during lockdown restrictions, can school principals afford to sit back and relax? Do they need to create new protocols of online curriculum and monitor teachers' performance?
That's a good question. Can all school principals afford to sit back and relax? I don't think there is any principal in the last 2-3 months who's been able to sit back and relax, because times have changed and carrying forward the whole learning from classroom, from the brick and mortar system into a completely virtual and e-learning platform has been very, very challenging. This being despite all the cumbersome efforts that come unsaid in the process of taking technology forward for the parent community. For the principals, they have to be multifaceted to kind of carry forward the online learning systems. So we are trying to combine, as Anuradha ma'am mentioned earlier, we are trying to combine the teachers to be trained. We are trying to combine the documentation, the resources that have to be carried online, and also the parents who are anxious or uncertain about how the whole online system is going to work. Needless to say, the children who are already not acclimatized to the technology and the role that technology plays in e-learning. So it's not going to be very easy for the principals, because a curriculum that is formatted in class has certainly got to be tweaked to be carried it forward. So the reach to the student or the learner profile is far better to look for a productive and effective system. So in terms of the lesson plans for the students to understand, so they can carry forward their course of work, it has to be planned meticulously, and all the documented work, for example, the worksheets, the kind of lesson plan information, the PDFs, the software that is being used have all got to be completely taken care of to precision and accuracy. So the delivery to the learner profile is very, very good. So generally we tend to look at learner profiles of about different styles. So we have auditory learners, we've tried to look at visual learners, we have kinesthetic learners when the student is in the class. So when we look at such a diverse learner profile, we have to draft and frame something that reaches out to all the learner profile for the maximum delivery that we are looking at for every child, because the learner profile is very, very different when you look at them individually. And the other challenge is also the constructive engagement, because for principals, when you have the students in school, we are looking at giving a certain amount of time, both academically and for co-curricular. But when you look at it online, then co-curricular becomes a little bit of a challenge when it comes to things like physical education. We are challenged in terms of social skills. So these are all areas where we cannot kind of neglect what was being delivered to the child. And we have to find new ways and means in which we can reach out to the child to ensure they get as equally academics and co-curricular information on that front. The next important thing that we are looking at is in terms of the teachers being trained. So a lot of teachers are used to the conventional learning systems. Even if they are working with the most forward and progressive schools, we have to admit to the fact that we are still on the chalk and talk and the rote method of learning. So to carry forward the entire teacher's training based on the software that the school has chosen, you have so many options right now. Zoom is the most common platform that people are using. But we have other schools that opt out for Google Classroom or Team Link, and there are different softwares that's available that people avail of. So the teachers have to be completely trained to see what are the features and the facilities that particular software updates. And they also have to connect that information with the kind of curriculum and the lesson plan that is going to be delivered. So if you're looking at a regular lesson plan, that can involve the teacher talking virtually. But if you're looking at a lesson plan that needs resources, then you're looking at an option like share content or an audio and video link going online. So it makes the class a little more interesting for the child. So if you're going to skip the monotony of a regular class and make it interesting for the students, the teachers have to really, really look at what are the options they can use to club technology available, as well as the resource at hand available to make the classes very interesting for a very different learner profile. So a lot of effort does go into training the teachers on the technology front, and as well as handling parents, as ma'am said earlier, who are anxious or who are probably like not certain about how the whole structure works. Even something as small as understanding the structure of the lesson plan, what comes up next week, what was done last week, what is the way in which we are trying to bridge the concept or the curriculum that was being delivered between last month and this month. These are all things where the parents are a little lost. So they also have to be handheld to kind of be guided through the whole thing, as well as the children, needless to say. So these are some of the challenges that we are looking at. So all principals, I don't think, are taking it easy at all. They have to manage the students, they have to manage the teachers and the anxiety of the parents as well. So I think we are all working very hard to carry forward through this COVID situation right now.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Let's move on to Mr. Shaji Philip. What is the present situation in China? Have the schools reopened and how is it going? Can you just share your thoughts about it, sir? What is exactly happening there?
Good morning, everyone. I'm in China. I'm talking from China. So now the situation in China is fine. Schools are started back in the normal mode, and now it is summer vacation for us. After one month plus regular class and the final test, everything is done. It is fine,
So,
except in some few places like nearby Beijing, there is a few cases reported recently. In those areas, schools are closed down, but otherwise everywhere it is fine. So this was the last stage. School was opened as a last stage. Before that, every shops, every other things started functioning normally. So now it is in a comfortable stage. Uh, very soon, India and other countries also will be having the normal mode, other than the new normal mode. But I think even after the normal mode, the technology changes. People must have adapted with the new things, new styles, new technology. Just like Stalistar told about the Edmodo. So that's a great thing. If schools are implementing some good learning management system, that is going to be useful for making the teaching and learning process more tangible. Otherwise, measuring the teaching and learning process is little difficult from the side of teachers, even from the side of the management too.
okay.
So this will be giving an opportunity for us to use technology in a proper way from the student side, teacher side, even from the school administrative side.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. You mean to say that the schools are reopened and now you have a summer vacation. So, did you have any online classes before this, or was it normal even few months back?
Yeah, we had online classes. We had online classes for almost 4 months.
Okay.
Actually, the schools closed for Chinese New Year.
Mm-hmm.
That is from January mid, and school should open by February. But that time it was the holiday.
Okay.
After the holiday, the online classes started. So here also there were difficulties in the initial stages.
So you had
To,
challenges
to
during online sessions there in China?
Yeah, there were many challenges at the beginning stage because as Salila sir told, many of the students were not really interested in participating in online classes.
Mm-hmm.
Very good students became non-attentive students, and some other cases too, because it all depends on the parents how they are encouraging the kids. If they are getting very good support, technology support, and the comfort at home, so if they are good at with all the supports, some of the kids were doing very good than the normal way.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the thing. But finally, it was okay. Finally, we managed everything and we closed the online things. So
Okay.
back to the normal school.
Very
So it
nice.
was okay.
Okay, so does your system of education builds strong entrepreneurial skills in students?
Yeah, actually, we have my school is an international school, American international school. So here I worked in three different schools in three different period of time. All of them were American style AP international schools. The school follows American pattern, American system, American education. So here, subjects chosen by the students are on their interest. So they are not forced to learn this particular subject. If you are not interested in maths, actually it is calculus in US. If you are not interested in calculus, you don't have to go that much in calculus. If you are not interested in chemistry, okay, it is fine from the middle school.
So from
If you are
what
not
age
interested in,
sorry to interrupt, sir, from what age the child can choose the subject in this American system?
Yeah, normally English and mathematics will be a compulsory subject for most of the classes, and all other subjects. Science also will be compulsory for the middle school, lower middle school level. Then it could be an optional.
Okay.
So that time they can choose many courses. I basically teach a course, computer science course. Plus I teach one more course called Makerspace. So that's a new concept which is giving a scientific opportunity to experiment everything. So it's a tech-based course. So there are many students doing those courses. Then there are students doing some business, financial courses. All these courses are optional courses. They can choose these courses on their interest. They can choose their electives. One more thing, that is even in math and English, it is not that all students of the particular grade are doing the same math course or same English course. So there are courses called English 1, English 2, English 3, English 4. So maybe a ninth grade student will be learning with 12th grade student if he is up to that level. So
Okay.
there
It's
will be
based
a
on the
test.
child's level, they can choose the
Yeah,
subjects
there
and
will
the
be a
level.
test. Yeah,
Okay.
there is a test conducted every year for math and English level. According to that level, they will be put into different classes. So they will be learning with the equal kind of learning peers, so that they will be definitely improving all the time.
Benefited.
You
True.
don't have to wait for the weak learners.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Now, moving on to Ms. Viola, is there any possibility to develop the social skills in online classes? And what role does a parent play?
Thank you, Lakshmi, and thank you, everybody. Nice to see fellow panelists here discussing education and how we can take it forward in this current situation. I don't know whether we should be calling it the new normal, because in my opinion, the word normal itself is not normal. Because when you say normal, it means that this is something that is generally accepted by everybody who is around you. So that's why we think of something being normal. But let's think of a situation where this is completely different from what we have been used to in the last couple of years, or maybe in the last 2-3 decades. We've been hearing of viruses and different kinds of diseases that have been hitting us, and I think nothing has unsettled people the way Corona has done. Now, Lakshmi asked me about social skills, and I think that's at the core of what we need to really look at. Because let's keep all the, our thoughts of technology, of curriculum, of everything on one side. I think what we really need to build into the fabric of society today is that one element of hope. I think that is something that we have all given a sort of a bye-bye ticket to right now, because all of us are being surrounded by enough and more news that things are bad. I am not telling you that you need to close your eyes to news. No, don't close your eyes or your ears to the news. Be aware. But be also hopeful that there is going to be a situation where things are going to be different. I do agree with my panelists when they say that, things can't get back to where they were, maybe let's say 2019, 2018 situation. But isn't that what life is all about? That we have to keep moving ahead. So I think that's the first thing, that we need to look at every situation that we have with hope. So that's point one. Point two would be, there has been a lot of focus on how a curriculum has to be completed, right? Now, you might wonder what does this have to do with social skills? I'll tell you what I'm getting to. Constantly, our problem is, can I finish my portions? Will the teacher be able to finish the curriculum? I have 10 chapters in this textbook. Will I be able to finish 10 chapters? Now, I think this is where schools actually need to come in, and parents need to also develop a mindset that makes them understand that skill is a lot more important than content. Okay, the reason, I'll just give you a very simple example. I don't know if all of you can see my name written on the picture just below my face. You know, it says the Viola R. Krishnamani, and it's got that number there, 859136. I don't know whether you have realized, but that's me being technology challenged. I typed in the password there along with my name, right? This is exactly how we are. All of us are finding our way. All of us are trying to cope with what we really have to. So it doesn't matter if we are a bit slow. It doesn't matter if we are not going to achieve something within these 3 months. If in 3 months' time my child has not completed 4 chapters of the chemistry textbook, it doesn't matter, because there is something more important than that, and that is life. So I think it is so important for all of us as parents, as educators, as people who can actually have a collective voice, to be very clear about one thing, and that is, let us look at this with hope, one. Two, let us look at building skills among children, because that is a lot more important than them absorbing the content. And finally, because I'm a person who has always focused on assessments, I would like to bring this one element in. Most schools have been facing a dilemma on, okay, I can conduct classes, but how do I conduct a test? How do I know my child has learned? I have taught, but I don't know whether the child has learned. Now, this is something that not just schools, but parents also are worried about. You know, the child is sitting in front of the laptop for an X amount of time, in some cases with his uniform on, which I don't know what it really achieves. But anyway, that is something that people do as well. But I'm just trying to say that, you know, very often there is this situation where the parent is wondering, did my child absorb anything at all? Did my child really understand? Now, this is where your technology steps in. I'm sure all of you have heard of, you know, Google Classrooms and, you know, of course, Zoom and stuff like that. But there are so many other ways in which you can make your classroom absolutely interactive. You can think of, for instance, now, a thing called a Padlet. I don't know if you've heard about that, Lakshmi. Maybe you can talk about it. It's a thing called Padlet, Padlet. It's something similar to a Jamboard. Okay, so when you have a Padlet, what happens is, now let's say I'm taking a class and I have about 25 children. Okay, I have the list of 25 children in front of me, and then I'm asking them, I'm saying, okay, now can I have something from you? So these children actually can start scribbling on that Padlet, and it appears on your screen. Okay, now if you want to, yes, so if you want to have a formative assessment of a skill, again, I'm coming back to a skill. I'm not talking about a content, right? I know it's a lot of work for a teacher, but then a teacher's job is never done. It's not a 9-to-5 job. A teacher's job is something where she keeps on absorbing, or he keeps on absorbing a lot of bits and pieces which they can use in a classroom. So I'm saying that, you know, it's a combination of all this technology that we can absorb and deliver. But the underlying principle that I would say we all need to develop is to have a lot of hope that we are going to see better days.
Also some empathy towards the people.
Yes, that will come automatically. The moment you have hope, you have empathy too.
Yes, exactly, ma'am. Thank you. So thank you for sharing your thoughts, Viola. Now let's move on to Ms. Anuradha. Schools offered holistic education by offering co-curricular activities like sports, art, music. And since now we are doing it in the online, so how can we help the children in co-curricular activities? Kindly unmute your microphone, ma'am.
So just a minute back, you spoke about social skills. Ms. Viola shared with us her thoughts on social skills. I strongly believe that the co-curricular activities are the other side of the coin for academics. It is the mental happiness quotient of the kids. all kids do not have the same learning profile. So we do have kids who excel in the co-curricular activities and who may be just managing their academics well, medium, at a excellent level. So in this scenario, how do we inculcate this activities into the online system? So for that, thanks to the World Web which we have and all the tech support which we are having, we can, let's start. We recently had Yoga Health Day. I was amazed to see the number of yoga clippings, yoga poses, pictures, videos that kids have uploaded in their school websites. Like any other educator, I am a keen follower of many school websites. So it was amazing to see. And there were some parents who have uploaded clippings and videos of the parent and the kid doing the yoga together. Zoom sessions on dancing, Zumba dances. Our sports teachers are so innovative. They are using clippings of a basketball match or a football match to teach the skills or give a commentary on the skills which the kids would have observed in these matches, discuss them on a free forum, what they like about the match or what is the strong points of the game. There's no dearth of imagination on how we can put in the coming to the arts. Have a live project, give them a live project, tell them to make some art feature or tell them to give you a write-up. I see beautiful paintings behind you, Lakshmi. Kids also can draw these beautiful paintings and share with their friends. Do an interview of your parent, do an interview of your friend, exchange thoughts. So like this, I find that the co-curricular activities are the most, they need to be introduced in the present online curriculum to break away the monotony. A few minutes back, Mr. Anthony said at the beginning of the session, first day was, hi, hello, all of us are here. Second day was something else. And third day, it petered down. So how do you do this? You keep the motivation up of the kids and have all these fun elements also introduced into the online curriculum so that the kids do not feel that different from a regular classroom. See, there is no denying the fact that we cannot substitute classroom at home, but bring in all the elements of the co-curricular activities that are possible. So the kids have physical activity also, a dancing class, a writing class, a singing session, a drama session. Why? When you're having a science class or a math class or English class, you can easily have a drama session on the Zoom sessions. Have the play enacted, have a single play enacted. Have your parents as audience. Anyhow, in the lower grades, the parents are using earphones to see how things are going on, and encourage the parents. Tell the parents, create a small puzzle or some kind of a game in the room. Treasure hunt in the classroom, at their home. Sorry, not classroom, at their home. Let the treasure hunt be a parent and teacher activity. Some simple things like this will always make the classroom, the home classroom, very lively for the kids. Now, let the kids wear their costumes. Let the session be live. Let there be noise. Let there be fun. All of this is possible in these online sessions which we are having. There is a big web full of resources where we can inculcate co-curricular activities. Have the teachers share, collaborate, work on it. It's not easy suddenly to switch into this co-curricular activities online, but give and take, you definitely have a lot of opportunities to inculcate co-curricular activities.
Definitely, Ms. Anuradha. Teachers, please make a note. We can take the co-curricular activities to the next level by using the online platform. I think definitely it is going to help all the teachers, and you have given a lot of thoughts about it. Thank you. And let's move on to Mr. Stanley. Mr. Stanley, how can we do online testing, and how can a method be developed to have online exams in real time?
Okay, I'm back.
Yes.
While discussing about the challenges of technology, really I face challenges in technology. Sorry for that. Okay, in first session.
Okay.
The question is about how to make the online classes, how to conduct the online classes more interesting. You mean to say testing? Actually, assessment, is a quite challenging part nowadays when in the lockdown. And especially as all the delegates were speaking, we need to focus more on the assessment for learning. See, I would say that instead of going for more descriptive assessments, instead of going for more, writing paper and pen, write test, all these things, we can go for a coursework based assessment or a project based assessment. When come to the primary kids, we can definitely want to integrate the parents there. We want to take a parent partnering, and we want to take the parent partnering, and we want to give the tasks to the via parents, and you want to involve the parents in the assessment and learning. So that connects the students, parent, and the teacher as well as. So especially I'm talking about the higher grades. When they're preparing for the board examinations, they're going for the board examination. Assessment plays a very important role. So as there are various forms of assessment. In that cases, we need to go for a coursework assessment and coursework based assessment, data collection, commentary writing, summary writing. So introducing a concept and make the student to go for research skills. So we are preparing the students, we are engaging the students, we want to make them more researchers. We are improving at last, at the end of the day, we are actually need to think of improving the critical thinking skills of the students. And you want to think of the reflection of learning, especially. For those things, the paper and pen assessment, what is the traditional approach, it's not only enough. We need to bring into the custom of online, assessment, online testing. For that, lot of software and technologies introduced. Even sudden education bodies are introducing the online test. They are going with the online test. But more descriptive, we want to think of making the online test more researchical, and they want to make them do the coursework, and you want to make them to bring the inputs what they experienced in learning, and more into the reflection of their learning. You want to test the reflection of the learning, I do say that. So I hope that online testing will be nowadays we need to put into the practice at least one session in a school. We need to conduct the online test. I would say that even nowadays, most of the education bodies like Cambridge University, the Cambridge Assessment International Education has gone for support of online test called the ALICE and ALICE test, KIM. So this monitoring test is actually, they're doing this Center for Evaluation and Monitoring. They have a tie-up with the Center for Evaluation and Monitoring. So the baseline of the children is tested, the aptitude and their, the mathematics skills and the logical thinking being tested in that. So it should be a regular practices in the schools and education bodies. They should have online tests. They should facilitate this online test. So in that way, if it is into practice, so it won't be a challenge. If it is not in the practice, definitely it will be a challenge. So we want to bring into the practice these things. Especially I was to point this into matter. That is a coursework-based assessment is always, the absolutely, I'd say that it's effective assessment if you bring the course line-based assessment in the subjects. It's not possible in all the subjects or not possible to all the teachers, but you want to put into the practice. We want to see how it's going to affect. Every subject should have assignment-based testing in this. So that is my point on this online testing.
So I think it's time for us to bring a change in the testing
definitely.
system.
So bringing the change, first we need to be the change.
Definitely,
to bring the change.
sir. We will, sir. And Ms. Krishnaveni, what challenges did you face when you started the online sessions for kindergartners, and how did you overcome it? Unmute your mic and talk, Krishnaveni.
Yeah, good morning to everyone. We as early childhood educators often act as facilitators building upon child's natural curiosities. Yes, it is a challenging time for teachers and schools. And we planned a curriculum which is play-based, creative, and effective. Initially, we had to struggle to teach them to mute and unmute and wait for their turn to talk. Online sessions are not just getting into connected and delivering the content. There is a lot of groundwork to be done to deliver the content. We need to research a lot. There is a lot, yeah. Online, it is completely uncharted territory with what the school has given to us. It is a huge mountain to climb. The challenge here is, being the toddlers, their attention span. As toddlers, their attention span is only about 6 minutes on their task. But as they enter into the kindergarten, they should be able to concentrate at least about 15 minutes. So the curriculum was well thought by the teachers based on their age, with creativity and fun activities. We also had a different experience during the online session, wherein a child was newly admitted in our school. And now he was constantly on the online session searching for his old teacher. So this took us a challenge where we had to convince him, telling that this is your new teacher, new school, and the new environment. But finally, he was okay, and now he is absolutely good with us. And also, I would like to thank the parents, take this opportunity to thank the parents. And finally, things have taken their shape, and we are all looking good. Children are looking forward for online sessions, and everything is going on well. And now we are all enjoying, and children are really wishing to see us every day and having a lot of fun with good activities.
Thank you, Ms. Krishnaveni. Thank you. Glad to hear it from you, because as kindergarten teachers, you might have faced a lot of challenges. So I'm glad that you have overcome it. And I'm also glad that children have learned to technically do whatever they want to do during the sessions. Let's move on to Mr. Shaji. Do the students need to be technically strong in order to avail online classes? Kindly unmute your microphone, sir.
Yeah, actually students have to be, but they are already technically strong enough, I suppose, because everywhere kids are operating the smartphones, kids are operating the smart TVs, not the parents. I think they are smart enough technically. They have to be tuned enough to use it properly, not going to other distracting things instead of learning. I think that's only a little bit tuning. It could be done effectively from the parent support, from the teacher support. So that will be fine. And if you don't mind, I want to add something about the testing, because I was doing certain things. Stanley sir told this topic before, even in his first time speech also, about Edmodo.
Yes.
Edmodo is a very good learning management system, LMS. You can organize your class completely through Edmodo. So what I do is, even in my regular class, I use Edmodo, because if I use Edmodo, there is a solid proof for me, what I taught, what I am going to teach, what I have already done. And it is almost like, the pages are almost like Facebook, where you post something and you will get the comments. So similarly, you can have a page for your class, one page for one class. That is very easy. You can have Edmodo in your computer, even you can have it in your mobile phone. There is an app. So if you are teaching 5 different classes a day, you can post all the contents for those different class groups. The students will be able to access. You can even set the time. So what time the post will be open. If your class is at 11 a.m., you can set it. It will be opened 10:55, 59, or even exactly at the time. So, and additionally, for the testing, you can have multiple choice test. Even you can have the match the items. You can have different kind of objective type of testing using Edmodo. And the very good feature in the Edmodo is once if you finish the test, once if you compose the test, you are going to give the correct answer. The testing, the paper valuation will be done automatically because it is multiple choice, and you will get an analysis in a graphic format. So if every student is getting correct answer for one question, that means you taught them well. And if most of them are failing in one particular question, okay, there is something went wrong from your side,
So
not from the student.
is it the test for the children or the teachers, sir?
Both, you can test yourself. Of course, you can test yourself. So
Okay.
if you find something wrong in my class, then you can repeat it, or you can put it in a different way because your presentation, your examples, your concept explanation, your projects, something went wrong. So you will get as a teacher will get an opportunity to present the topic again in a different angle so that you can get a good effect on the students learning. So teaching is not that important, but learning is important. What you teach is not very important, what the kids are learning is important.
More
So this
important.
technology is giving a good opportunity, and this graphic the graphic output of the test result is very good. And not only that, I do it in the regular classes. The PCs are not kept very far. So one child can peep into others' answer and they can mark. But there also we can play the tricks because you can randomize the questions. If there are 20 questions, the first student will be getting the first question at the same time. The second student's first question will be different. Even for the options, multiple choice options, A, B, C, D, if you have 4 choices, the A, B, C, D also will be randomized and it will be a totally different test.
Okay,
So
now,
this is a very good
yes,
tool to do
very,
the testing
very true,
thing.
sir. And now I'm
And
just thinking
and
whether
in my,
the
yeah,
children
and in
are
my,
really technically not strong or not. See how they are just copying from the other child and doing all sorts of things in the class. And I think now children are not that, we cannot say that the children are not technically strong. I think they are basically strong in dealing all the technology works. Yes, please continue, sir.
yeah, not only that, basically in our school, actually this American system, it is very different from our Indian system.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to follow a particular textbook. We don't have to follow a particular syllabus. And sometimes even we don't have to follow a public exam like what we have in India, CBSE, IGCSE, or state board. We don't need to go for that. So the school's certificate, school's recommendation letter itself is enough for a student to get an admission in colleges in US.
Okay.
So writing an AP exam conducted by college board, even that is optional. If the students they want, they can. Otherwise, they don't want. So we have all the flexibilities. Not go for the real kind of the normal kind of test. Instead of that, we can go for project.
Oh,
So in my computer science classes, I used to teach them game programming because kids are interested in playing game. So
Games.
I diverted it. Instead of playing game, let us make game. And we have a wonderful set of games made by my students. There are a lot, and that is a testing thing. So they do the project game programming. That is one testing. Once if it is working good, fine, okay, you have done a good job. Additionally, they did a video recording of their game by playing the game 5 to 7 minutes. And in China, we have Youku instead of American YouTube. So they uploaded it in Youku by explaining themselves. They will be getting a speaking skill, also some additional skill by uploading the things in the Youku or public platform. And then one more project I have given them. You please teach the game how other students, if anybody else want to make the game by watching your video, you make a video. Because in the online session, we created a lot of videos for the kids how to do this. So that way, they also made a video for each of the projects, two video, one how to play the game, second one how to make
to
the
make
game.
it.
They became a
Great.
teacher for their own game.
Okay.
So that way they did.
Very
Then
nice, sir.
technically
Very
India,
nice.
I suppose Team Viewer is very popular.
Mhm.
Team Viewer, and I
Mhm.
use
Okay.
AnyDesk. Actually, if you have those kind of softwares, you can use somebody else's computer.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if the parent having some problem, if a child is having some problem, then you can use their computer from your end, and you can tell, click here, do this, do that, and you can correct the problems, and it could be solved.
Thank you.
So this
Thank you
way
for
we
sharing
use
it.
technology.
Thank you for sharing it, Mr. Shaji. Definitely, we will think about it. And I like that instead of playing a game, make a game. That is something we need to think about it and implement in our class too. And now, moving on to Ms. Anusha Aditya, what are the qualities that online education will be able to inculcate into children that conventional education usually does not provide the children?
So, some of the qualities that the main thing that we are looking for children to kind of develop is for them to be self motivated. Because online education, there are a few facets of online education, which is what we are currently looking at as the positive. It is self directed, it's self paced, and it's also self selected and very flexible. So it gives you a lot of options for the children. For example, if there is a lesson that they are probably already aware of, it gives students an option to kind of be on class while they finish another task, or they are listening to the teacher while they finish up on an assignment. Or even in the higher classes, students do have the option of not taking up that particular session. They use the time wisely for something else. So there is a lot of time management that is involved, which children learn even in the primary years. One of the things about time management is they learn to be ahead of schedule. So if they know that tomorrow they have the online class and they want to be prepared with their assessments, their notes, and whatever documentation was handed to them earlier or sent earlier by the teachers, they know that they have to be prepared for the session well ahead of time. So they learn about time management. The other advantage with the online classes is it makes students more exploratory by nature, because there are no geographical barriers. So students can look at adapting to new teaching resources and better teaching materials, since it is online and the whole web is your teacher. So that is one of the advantages that you have with online education. It also enhances their computer proficiency and their technology. If you see that, even small children, Krishmani ma'am was mentioning, they already know how to mute and unmute. They raise their hand when they want to talk. So even at a very early age, children are familiar with technology and adapting to technology, which makes them very good receptors in their middle school and high school to learning through technology, which would be the next big thing for all we know. And they also learn to kind of because of this control learning, they learn to control their freedom, and their concentration levels are also impacted. For example, in a classroom, if you see about 30 students in class, they tend to sometimes talk. We constantly find the teachers saying, hear me out. And here, that there are not as many distractions. So it is almost a one-to-one with the teacher on the other end and the student on this end. So some of the distractions on a regular classroom basis is also brought down, which means that it can enhance their concentration levels while they are on the virtual learning mode. So these are some of the advantages we are hoping and looking for students to develop through the course of being online. The other thing is, the big thing about online learning is students have to be self-disciplined. They have to build on self-discipline, because that's the most important thing. While a student comes, reports on time, sits down, and the teacher is taking classes, then you know that the student has to be there. We have a lot of complaints with teenagers. I think all of you are familiar. They go off video, but they claim to be on class, and the teacher is taking class on the other end. So it trains students to handle their freedom with a certain responsibility and be very self-disciplined in terms of their online sessions. So these are some of the different skills and the different qualities that we are looking for children to nurture through their course of online learning.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Ms. Anusha Aditya. And now let's move on to Ms. Viola. The most common challenge faced by parents during the online sessions?
Are you asking me what is the most common challenge?
Yes. Yes.
You mean with regard to the online sessions, that is the learning, or are you asking about the situation as such?
It can be the combined one, learning as well as the situation and how the well-being,
Okay.
mental well-being of the
So I
parents.
think, most of the time, I think what we are fighting against, I would use the word we here. We're all fighting against a certain sense of acceptance, because I think all the time we are trying to come to terms with the situation. Okay, I think a lot of videos have done the rounds on WhatsApp about that entire cycle of how you go into denial mode, you're angry, and then you finally
Yes.
accept.
Yes.
I think our biggest challenge is that we are not prepared to accept what has actually become the reality, and because of that lack of acceptance, there is a sense of imbalance. So I think that is the challenge. So I would not say that technology is a challenge. Yes, technology is a challenge. But then, there are people who are finding their way around. Every school is finding a different way of handling things. Just this morning, I read a news item about a school in Jharkhand where, because they don't have internet facilities, they have fixed a microphone, one of these big loudspeakers that you get in village fairs.
Yes.
That loudspeaker has been fitted onto in a playground area, and the lessons are being broadcast through that loudspeaker every day for a different class. So basically, I think, human beings, we are very, very innovative irrespective of where we are, who we are. I think we all have that sense of trying to find the easiest way to do something, and we will find it. But then the point is that, we need to accept where we are first, and only then our mind opens out to what the possibilities are, because there are so many possibilities out there which are still not yet being tapped.
Okay. Yes, I have one more question to you, Ms.
Yes,
Viola.
yes, Lakshmi.
Before pandemic, the parents offered ample screen time for the children. But now, why they are so concerned about the screen time when coming to the online sessions? So, could you please talk about it?
I think, more than actually being worried about screen time individually, it is a kind of I would use the word mob mentality, because the reason why I'm saying this is that when one parent says that, these children shouldn't be watching so much of, TV, or even the laptop, or even if it is learning, not everybody agrees. But then, it's always that you want to be part of the entire set of people who are around you. So very often parents fall into that trap. That is one side of it. The other side of it is that probably one of the things that we have also not done as schools, we don't do what I call feed forward. We ask everybody for feedback. We do something and we ask for feedback. But do we do feed forward? Do we tell parents, this is what I'm planning to do? This is what I'm planning to do for the next 1 month. For the next 1 week, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have 5 classes. The first class is going to be this. The second class is going to be this. At the end of the third class, I'm going to have an assignment. At the end of the fifth class, I'm going to have this. So the teachers actually, the school needs to give parents a little bit of what is going to come. So I think that, if you can do that, then parents won't get into that herd mentality or mob mentality of, okay, this is not good, that is not good. I heard from my friend that it's going to spoil the child's eyes. All these things can be set at rest if the school can take the position of the true mentor that every school should be. I think that is something that every school has the responsibility to offer, because finally all of us run back to our educational institutions. All of us, irrespective of the age, we run back to our schools, we run back to our colleges for guidance and support. So I think this is where we need to step in as educators and say, this is what we will be doing. And you don't have to worry because we have it all well thought out.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Vaila. That was truly something the teachers and the schools have to think about it, because for parents, it is something clueless. They are clueless about what is going to happen for my child the coming week. So, what is the expectation from the school? And so, if the school steps forward and make a clear note on this is what we are going to do or deliver this week, definitely it is going to help. And thankfully, again, it is happening in Little Zebra. Yes, ma'am. Please
Yes,
continue.
I just wanted to add one thing, I think half our problems today, whether we are talking about Tamil Nadu, India, America, it doesn't matter where we are. I think half our problems is because we really don't know what's happening. Nobody tells us, right? Nobody tells us when there's going to be a lockdown, when we won't get onions and tomatoes to buy, right? So I think that is the similar situation that parents are facing too. And that's the reason why I'm saying it's important that we communicate.
Exactly. That made your thought clear. Now I'm
Yes.
clear about what you're
Yeah.
trying to tell.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the teachers and schools, please make a note of it. We need to be clear, and we need to give an insight on what we are going to teach for the upcoming week or the month. And I think Ms. Anuradha has got a question to Mr. Shaji. Yes, Ms. Anuradha, you can continue.
So, Mr. Philip, I've been very curious to ask you this question right from the minute I came to know you're speaking from China and that you have started regular school. So, how was the learning outcome of the online classes? How did it transition in the classroom once the children came back to school? Second part of the question is, were the kids happy coming back to the school? What was their EQ when they came back to the school, and their feedback on what was the learning they have done during the online classes? As a teacher, what did you assimilate about their learning online, notwithstanding the assessments? As a teacher, how did you interact with them and understand how the whole process went on before they came back to school?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, that's a good question. I cannot say a single answer for all the students. This online learning was very effective for some of the students. They were very happy, even whatever kind of evaluation given for those particular students, they did better than the normal schooling. But that's only a set of students. But other category, some of the students, they were very good at normal learning before the lockdown period. But during the lockdown, they totally broke up. They were telling a lot of excuses, including my laptop is working, this, that. But finally, when I checked with them, I have another laptop. I have one more laptop. So there are 2, 3 laptops at home, and still they are telling this is not working. So some students had that problem. They couldn't do, even with the constant support from the teachers communicating with the parents. It was difficult for make some of the students to come up with this one. It was a really difficult thing. And when they want to come back every day, just like WhatsApp, we have WeChat here. We have WeChat group for the classes, and we have live sessions in either in QQ or Zoom or some other softwares like that. That depends. That was flexible for us. So every day, many students are asking, when are we going to come back? So that's a normal question. So they were really, because here in China, most of the family, they got one child, most of them one child. So they're looking at all the time the same parents. They can't go out, they can play. So the so-called socializing thing, it was a very, very big difficulty. Playing computer games all the time, sitting at home watching TV or whatever, it was not really okay for the kids. And when they came back, um, students were excited, and there was some problem because some of them totally broke up with their learning things. They couldn't make up many of their assignments given, many of the learning activities assigned by the teacher. So they had some difficulties, but actually we were prepared. We teachers were prepared. Here in China, all the schools were not opened on a one particular day. So every single school was inspected by the local governments. They certified, okay, this school will be able to manage whatever situation is happening. We have a doctor and nurse in the school. There are all kind of setup. We were wearing mask all the time. Teachers were given mask and the students were given mask every time. They used to keep it clean and safe. Even otherwise in China, there is a culture of using mask even if you have a flu. For a flu, if you go to a hospital along with the medicine, you will get a mask. So these people, they are used to use mask, not like the other part of the world. They won't resist using mask. So after coming back, some schools I heard from some people, there were some students had some problem, emotional problem. They were stressed because of their scores and grades were very less. So they were stressed, and there were some incidents with some students. So we were ready, we were prepared, teachers were prepared. Our school was very prepared to handle any kind of emotional situation. We handled the kids emotionally very well. So we had only 1 month and few days after the lockdown, the normal classes, we handled it. So we prepared. So definitely, I think in India also we need to take care of the kids when they come back to school after this lockdown. Somebody will be in difficult situations with their
Definitely.
spouse.
True.
We
Yeah,
are
I think
looking forward for those days. We are looking
yeah,
forward
it
for
will
the
come soon.
children to meet at school.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Shaji, and thank you, Ms. Anuradha, for raising the question. And Ms. Vaila, you have something to share. Would you like to share now?
Yeah. Thank you, Lakshmi. I just wanted to make one very simple request. I think this would be to go out to anybody who's watching this and to my fellow panelists here. I think all of us have gotten to this habit of getting to know everything that's happening around us. So I think as educators and people who have a direct impact on the minds of people young and old, I think it is important for us to take as much that we can from around the subject that we focus on. So reading and understanding around the subject is very important. So that brings you to a kind of, understanding of more than just what you need to focus on. And one way of doing it, I would say, is to read as many books as possible on education. And one book I would like to recommend is a book called Clever Lands. It's a book by a person called Lucy Crahan, and it would be very interesting for you to read it because it really gives you an insight on how education is handled and implemented and delivered in various parts of the world. So it really opens your eyes to it. So it's called Clever Lands, and it's by a lady called Lucy Crahan. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing that. Definitely, we are going to grab the book from the store and start reading it right away. Thank you. And yes, now, since we are in the end of the session, I'm so sorry to say this. I don't feel like ending the session, but unfortunately, we are towards the end of the session. And great. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being here. And the thoughts to reflect back on is like everybody are facing the same situation. It is not just you or me. The entire world is facing the same situation. So be empathetic towards everyone around you. And the teachers, you're playing a vital role now. It is not the doctors and the nurses who are doing the front lining now. We are taken that role. We have taken that role, and we are playing it. So we have to be more. We have to focus more on our work, and we have to do a lot of research and find new solutions. So thank you for all your thoughts and inputs. Definitely the parents and the teacher community who are watching this is going to get benefited about it. And yes, I would like to end the webinar by saying that there is no lockdown for learning. However, the real challenge would be not to slip into our old teacher-driven ways and to remember and apply the learnings of this phase to enrich our regular classes post-lockdown restrictions. Thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Lakshmi.
thank
Thank you
you,
so
Lakshmi.
much.
Thank
Thank
You
you
to
all.
the panelists.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
For
sir.
joining, and thank you,
you all.
Lakshmi. Thank you,
Thank
Anusha.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Good day, all of you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Thank you.
day. Stay safe and stay connected, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Good day. Thank you
Good
all.
day.
Good
Thank
day,
you.
Lakshmi, and thank you to all fellow panelists.
Thank you, Ms. Anuradha. Thank you for joining us today. It was good meeting you. Thank you.
It was lovely talking to all.
Thank you.
Thank you.